Okay, good morning everyone. So in the last tutorial, we have already learned about how to use constraint to restrict the movement of our bones. And it not only works for the bones, it can also work for the object as well. So let's take a look. So first things, I will hide everything right here. And let's go to the original point. Press Shift A, create a new cube. And press Shift A again. Create a new single armatures. Let's move the armature to the right side, right here. Alright, so now we have a cube and we have armatures. And if you remember, if we want to assign the constraints for the armatures, we need to go to post mode and go to here, bone constraint property, and assign different type of armatures constraints for these bones. But we can also do the same things for the object as well. So we can go to here, object constraint properties. And now we can try to using like transformations. And let's assign the target as the bones. And you need to assign a specific name for this one. And usually we will choose in space, local space. So let's try this one, local space. So now it's time to choose what kind of things you want to assign. So for example, basically we are going to using the bone to control this cube. So the things I would like to do is to let's take a look. For example, GXX, sorry for that, GXX. So let's try to use this one. So maybe move this one from 5. The next one is 5 meters. And I want to map to rotations in local RZZ, Z directions. So let's try this one, Z directions. And remember, now we are going to use, the things we are going to use is X. So you must choose an X. And the minimum, the maximum is 360. And the mix is at. So now let's take a look. First thing is location. So basically it's the location of this guy, of the bones. And the target is the rotation, Z rotations of the cube. So let's take a look and press GXX. So now as far as you can see, you can using the location of the bone to control the rotation of the box. So that's another way. But well, we can also using another way to control the rotation to create a relationship between the object and also the bones. And so if you remember, the bone is the controller that allows us to control the object or the model. And the constraint is the one which the bone constraint is the one which we can use for control the bones. Or we can also using the constraint, object constraint to control the bone and object as well. And the driver is something that we can control for different objects across different systems. So that's the things we are going to do. So let's delete this one, and I'm going to show the example right here. So that's the things I just show you. We can using constraint and object constraint to restrict the object and also the bone as well. So that's the first way we can do it. Just using simple constraint to change the uh, object. All right. So now we are going to take a look about another one. So for now, we are going to do the things we are going to do. We call this one driver. So it's a more advanced stuff. So probably it will be a little bit complicated, but anyway, take a look about how to do that. So I will isolate this object so that you can take a look. You press your slash key and you can isolate object, and I will do a new example right here. Again, Shift A to create a mesh cube right here. and Shift A create a new single bone right here, and let's move the single bone to the top side. Alright, so now we are going to using the bone to control the object in the, let's say, probably Z rotation, this one. So, but without the constraint or any other things, how can we do that? First things we can try to this one. Right click, go to the select object, and go to the object properties. Make sure you are under the object property mode, and go to the rotation Z axis. Right click and insert add driver right here. And now you came out of this panel. If you move your mouse away, it will directly disappear. So make sure you didn't move the panel away. But you still can come here and go to edit driver and call this guy back again. So now as far as you can see, here is a lot of different type of script. And first things, I will not change this one. I will just using scripting expressions. And also here is the equation, so that's the things we can change. And also we can change the target as well. But first thing, the most important thing is that right now which one you want to use to affect the cube. So usually we will choose an object and using this one. We need to make sure which one is our bones. I think it's this one and the first one, the bone. And how do you want to affect this one? So do you want to using the locations of this guy, or you want to using the rotation as well? So you need to define that. Let's go back here and choosing edit driver. Let's again edit driver right here. So let's take a look. Usually I think it's easier to use in probably Z location, but I want to use, the things I want to use is local space. So for now, you can see here is 0. So once you finish, let's just try. Go to here, go to pose mode, and let's using, I think the things I choose is GZ. Well, not working. Let's take a look again. Edit driver, Z local space. Okay, amateur level, and let's take a look. Another thing we need to define is that right now, let's take a look. Alright, X Euler. Make sure this one is XYZ Euler. Otherwise, if you're using this one, well, sometimes the things will go wrong. And let's take a look of the driver right here. AD driver. Amateur the locations and the value. Probably we can try to make this one multiply 10 times bigger. And also we can try to use in workspace as well, so it will be easier. Let's try. Okay, so now it works. As far as you can see, if you move this one down or if move this one up, it will change the degree. Okay, so we can use in driver to create many differences, not only about the transformations, but this one is just a case. Okay, just like here, the logic is that first thing is you have to select the object. Okay, you have to select object and go to the transform and choosing the parameter you want to change. And right click insert driver. And right now, once you call out the panel, the driver panel, you can choose in the target and give a specific name. And you can choose in what kind of things you want to be affected. For example, you want to extract the X location to affect your rotation value. So that's the system you need to define. And also you can try to change the data. For example, multiple 10 times bigger or plus maybe 10 or 20. And if you plus more things, it will change even more fast. But sometimes I think this one is a little bit inconvenient because once you move your mouse away, the panel disappears. So here we can create a panel which is specific design for driver. Let's go to here and go to scroll list and call out drivers. So right here, let's take a look of these guys. Alright, so as far as you can see, once you go to the Z location, because we already gave the Z rotation 1 driver here, so here is the same value right here. So we can take a look, drivers. So here is the same value. We can directly add the value right here without using the panel, the right click panel. Okay, so it will be way more easier. So let's take a look, maybe try local space as well. So let's try maybe not the Z directions. Let's try the X locations. So GXX. So well, it will also work and very fast. Okay, so that's the second part about how to use the driver. It's different from using constraint. You don't have to apply anything. You don't have to go here to apply, but you have to add the driver. And driver is just like a connector, which you can connect two different parameters through different systems. So that's how it works. All right. And for the next part, let's take a look about the different type of driver. So first thing, let's create the mesh again, a cube, and one single bones. Okay, right here. And also let's create probably like a mesh sphere, or maybe just a circle will be fine. Let's create a UV sphere and move this one here, and probably move this guy to the right side, left side, this guy to the right side. All right, so let's take a look about the different type of the driver. Again, the things I wanna do is let's try Z rotation. Okay, add driver, right click, and add driver. All right, so right here. So the target right now, I don't want to assign a target for the very beginning. The things we can take a look is right here. First thing, there are 4 different types. First one is a single property. What's that mean? Which means that you can directly assign one property to replace the rotations of the object. Okay, so for example, you can do a custom property, or you can just directly assign a property. For example, you can copy the rotation of the first box to this guy. So that's one way. Let's do that again. Add a driver. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one, usually we will use this one, transform channel, so that you can copy the transformation from one object to the other object. So just like what we did, we copy the movement of the bone and using the parameter to change the rotation of the box. So that's the second way. And rotational difference, let's just copy about the rotation part. And the very interesting one is this guy's distance. So for example, we can define the object 1 as the sphere and the object 2 as the bone. So we can use the distance between these two guys to affect the rotation of our cube. So let's take a look at the driver, or we can just go here. It will be easier. Otherwise, too annoying. All right, let's go here. And if you didn't see this panel, make sure you press N and you can turn on the right side panel. So for the object 1, I hope it could be the bones. And for object 2, it could be the sphere. And you can define using the workspace or local space, but for this time we can just using workspace. And for this, I want to multiply plus probably add just 8, maybe 30. Okay, so it will be more. So once you move these tools, well, as far as you can see, it will rotate. And you move this one, well, the object will rotate as well. And if you rotate both of them, well, it won't rotate because it still keep the same distance. So it's a very interesting, let's say, interactive way. You can use these things to create something like interactive installation inside Blender. All right? So now you can see how it works. So that's about the different type of the driver. So you can play around with this one. Single property, transform channel, rotation difference, and distance. And also you can change the expressions. You can use an add, subtract, multiple, or maybe divide. So it's up to you. You can try to use this one to change the movement of your object. Alright? So that's the third part of this tutorial. Alright, I will delete this part and let's go to the next part. Okay, so for the next part, we can try to using the driver to control different objects in a different system. So now we are going to use a driver to change the material setting. So I will delete this part and let's press Shift A to create a new cube. Shift A to create a armature single bond. Move this guy here. And right now we already have a cube, but I also want to create a new UV sphere. Let's move this guy up and let's go to render mode so that we can see your object. Okay, so now we have these guys, but we don't have any light. So the things I want to do is to assign a new material for the sphere. Okay, and let's go to the shade editors. Let's zoom in. I think most of you already know this part, so let's try. We have the emission strength, so let's try to assign driver to the emission strength. So let's right click and add driver. And so how can we do that? So first things for sure, we can just using the old way. So it's choosing the object, and this time is armature, I think 004. Okay, and the locations, oh yeah, X location. Let's try to using local space, and maybe let's try to using multiple 10. All right. So this guy, okay, so this one is a 04 or 3. Sorry for that. We have to change the driver. So let's try edit driver, and it's 003, I think. And make sure be specific. So we need to assign a specific name, 003. So now let's go to the pose mode. All right, and let's try to move these guys. Well, doesn't have any change. Why is that? Well, we need to take a look about how this one doesn't, why this one doesn't work. Go to edit driver. First things, I think we need to change the emission to the white color. Okay, and also for the, let's try to using make this one become yellow, and make sure go to the render setting. If you remember, usually we have to check ambient occlusion, bloom, space reflections, make sure all these things works. Alright, and I want to make the entire environment lighter, so let's go to the world setting, make this one become 3. Well, hopefully it will work. And also probably environment, let's make this one brighter, maybe just 0.8, just like this. Okay, so now let's go back to the driver. And where is the driver? I think it's right here. Go to the material, and we need to right here go to edit drivers. Unfortunately, I think our inside the, if your driver is inside material, we cannot see that inside the driver editors, so it's a little bit inconvenient. So let's try maybe workspace. So workspace works because local space probably cannot identify where it is. So maybe not 5, not 10, maybe just 5. All right, and let's take a look. So once you go to here, if you go to 0, it will become, the light will off. But if you move more, it will increase the number. Okay, so we can just use this one just like triggers, to use this one to control the light on and off. Okay, so how to do that? We need to using bond constraint, and let's try to using limit locations, and you can check all of them. And now we are under the workspace, and for the maxima x direction is 1 meter. Remember, one block, one grid inside Blender, usually it was 1 meter. So now since we have the triggers, let's hide this this box. Now we have the constraint. So when you move these bones, it will only move inside 1 meter distance. So this one is on and this one is off. Okay, so that's how it works. Alright, so basically we can using the driver to control different type of parameters. Not only about the position, rotation, transformation, it can also control the material as well. Okay, so for next part, well, is that possible to change the material setting, something like color or maybe another parameter? Yeah, it is, but it will be a little bit complicated, so we need to take a look about how to do that. Okay, so if we want to do something which is not like the single parameter, like we are going to using the driver and to change the color or using that to change the shape, how can we do that? So let's take a look. Create a cube again, and let's move this one here and create a bones, single bone right here. So now we are going to using this bone, and we are going to set some special parameter, special controller inside this bone to change the color, to change the shape of these guys. Okay, so let's take a look. First thing, still we need to assign a material for the box right here. So right now we already assigned a new material for the box, and now let's go to the bone right here. So if you want to using create some special customized property for this object, how can we do that? And for all the object inside Blender, we can set some customized property inside the object. For example, you can assign some special parameter, special controller inside the box as well. And you can do that inside the bone as well. But if you want to do that, make sure, for example, for the box, you need to go to the object data because it's a model. So if you want to add on some special property, you must go to here, object property, so that it will show up right here. Okay, and for the bone as well. And also, because for the bone, you must add this guy under the pose mode. So when you are going to assign the custom property, first thing is you need to go to the green section, the green bone section, bone property, and also it must under the pose mode. So now you can create a new, and you can click the gear right here and click up these guys. And you can choose in integer or floating number, but this time we are going to use in floating number, and I'm going to call this guy emission, and the maxima could be 10. And click OK. So right now you can see there's a property right here. It was called emission property. But if you go back to object mode, it disappears. Alright, so now we are going to assign the driver and using the bone emission property to control the driver. So let's go to the material and go to the emission. First thing we need to change the color, and let's try maybe blue. Well, it looks nice. And right click on the emission strength and driver. Alright, so this time we are not going to use in transform channel, we are going to use in single property. And let's choose in the bones. And the bone is 003. And right now there's a red sections and we cannot do anything for now. So we need to do the things for now we are going to do is to copy the database right here because we are going to create a bridge between two different systems. So now right click, copy database, and go back to the box right here, add that driver, and let's just pass right here. Okay, so for now, I think under this section, we can use this one. Well, doesn't change. Oh, because we are using this guy, not the left one. So right now, you can using the emissions property to control the light strength of the box. So for sure, you can do other things. Yeah, we can try to do more. Let's go under the post mode, and you can keep adding new properties. So let's create another one and go to gears. And for this time, the things I want to do is to do the, let's try to using the shift key. Okay, so that's this time we are going to using integers. So there's only 0 and 1. And click OK, and I'm going to call this one shape. Okay, and I think all of you already know how to use the shape key. So first thing we need to create the initial state, and then create the next second one. And under the edit mode, we can do some change. So let's press G, let's randomly change that. Okay, so now if we press tab key, we have this parameter. And once you change, you can do this kind of things. Alright, so now we are going to using the driver. Set the driver for the values. And again, we are going to using a single property. That's choosing the BOM 003. Okay, and we forget to copy the data path, so I need to go here, copy the data path. Okay, go back to here, and right now go to edit driver, go to the path, Control V. So now we can use, I think it's done. Alright, so let's go to here, and you can do okay. So now you can change. You can also change the strength of the light. Alright. So another thing is just a very little trick we can do. So right here, let's try to add on one last custom property. Go to here and new, and let's call this one, the last one. Let's try maybe color, and this time it will be string. Sorry, not string. Probably just float, and call this one color. Alright. Alright. Okay. So now we have three data right here. Okay, because the things we said is a float array. So because the color is RGB, so we need to set three data parameter and click OK. So now we have these three. And so the next part, the things we're going to do again, let's go to color and add drivers. Alright. So right now it will be a little bit weird because we need to set the data parameter. So for example, we need to go to here inside, and you can go to RGB, and all of them are set by the driver. The things we need to do is, well, copy data path, go to the driver here, and click inside. And right now you can, we can add the driver, and again all three, and design single properties, and we can pass the driver here. Okay, so now let's take a look. Well, it doesn't have any change. Why is that? Let's take a look about how to change this one. Why it doesn't work? Because I think we lost one important process. So let's go to the gear again. So I think for now it looks fine. The maximum is 256, and we have three numbers just like the RGB color. But here is the thing, we can choose in subtype. And for this one, we can choose in gamma corrected color. And also there are a lot of different options we can choose. But this time we are going to do the color. So the right type is gamma corrected color. So once you choose this one and click OK, as far as I can see, this one become color. So that's the things we are going to do. So right here, here we have RGB. So actually you can just directly copy the data path. And let's go back to the material again and choose this one. Let's just paste. Wait for a second. Control V, or we can just go to edit driver and paste the driver. Okay, and let's repeat. Do these things again. Copy the data path, or you can just directly copy as a new driver. It will be easier. So let's go to here and to the green. Let's just paste driver. So it will be easier, directly copy and paste. For this one as well, let's right click and copy as new driver. And let's go to here, choosing the blue one, and right click and choosing paste driver. So now with this guy, we can just directly, well, still it doesn't work. Why is that? Let's take a look. Copy data path. Let's try to use in more traditional way. Edit driver and Control V. And let's delete everything. That's okay, let's just delete the driver. And let's go to here and paste again. Paste the driver. I hope this time can work. Probably for the first one, when we do the driver, there's something wrong here. Copy as new driver. Go to here. And let's right click. Paste the driver. And for the last one, let's do the same things. Copy as new driver. Go to here. Right click. And paste the driver. Let's take a look if we go to the edit driver mode. Well, for now it looks fine, so it's supposed to work. Well, sorry for that, because we're choosing the emissions. That's the base color, not the emission color. Still be arrow. Sorry for that. Let's do it again. Copy as new driver, and let's go to emissions. And let's go to the RGB channel, test driver. So now, as far as I can see, it's gradually change. Copy as new driver, and let's go to emissions right here, and paste the driver. And then final one, let's just do the repeat the operations. Copy as new driver, go to here, and let's go to emission strength. Sorry, not here, this one, and paste the driver. Okay, so now I think it's supposed to work. Okay, I think we spent a lot of time to fix the problem, but anyway, first things remember, when you are going to add driver, it must under post mode and also under the bond property. Second thing, when you go to do some special setting about the custom property, you need to choose in a subtype. So for the color, you need to choose in gamma corrected color, so that it will have this kind of color panel for you to change. And the final thing is make sure you copy paste on the right section. So for this time, because we are going to using this guy to change the color, emission color, not the base color. So we need to go to here and choosing the emission color rather than the base color. For the base color, for sure you can change that as well. You can we can try to do that. So for example, like make this one become 0. And right now I think all the colors supposed to be changed by the base color, so it also works. So actually we do the right things, but the problem is that we just go to the wrong section and go to the wrong status. And also we can use this one to change the status. So anyway, I think that's about how to use in the driver. We can use in just directly using the single property or the transform channel. It's up to you. And with this kind of function, we can do a lot of different type of interaction and something more advanced controlling for our model. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.